Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production channel over at YouTube, and welcome to another Friday review. Today I will be reviewing the debut full-length album from Italian heavy metal band Konquest, and the album is titled The Night Goes On, which was released through Bart Gabriel's sub-label Iron Oxide Records, Bart Gabriel being the founder of Skull Records. So Konquest. I already at least said that they were based out of Italy, which is, they were at least based out of Prato, Tuscany, Italy. Hope I pronounced all of that correct. Again, they were formed in 2019, and just last year they had released their debut demo. But this year I am reviewing their debut full-length album. So, without further ado, let's get into my review of The Night Goes On from Konquest. So, before I really get into any of my thoughts on the album, let's do a track listing rundown. We got about 8 songs here, and it all clocks in at 35 minutes and 13 seconds. So these 8 songs are Theme of the Conqueror, the title track, Too Late, Keep Me Alive, Follow the Conqueror, Holding Back the Tears, Heavy Heart, and then finally, The Vision. So there's your 8 songs here. So, now for me conducting this review, instead of just giving you a good idea on how the album sounds before really head into at least highlighted tracks, I'm gonna do what I did with the other release from Iron Oxide Records, which was Sky Destroyer for Midnight Spell, because for that review I did at least song by song. Basically I went into each song, so I feel that's what I'm going to do here, because I feel it is the best way to actually get this review at least better presented to all of you who are listening in. So without further ado, let's just get into at least the songs, because of the album here. It opens up with Theme of the Conqueror, which is a 2-minute instrumental that is very similar to Transylvania by Iron Maiden, though it is not a carbon copy of Transylvania by Iron Maiden, but it just is very similar to it. But anyways, it is a cool way to begin this album. But finally, we then get to the title track, which to me is where the album really begins here. For the most part, it's a galloping romp, but I get some heavy low vibes with the song, because it definitely sounds like something that could have easily been on albums like Death or Glory or Stronger Than Evil. It just has that feel to it where it would have fit good on those 2 albums. But either way, it's a nice track though, so it's a good song. So let's definitely move on to Too Late. This right here has even more heavy load vibes. Again, this sounds like it could have, for me personally, would have fit good on like Death or Glory. But at times, some will say it also sounds like it could have easily been on Stronger Than Evil as well. It's a good song. So again, it kicks ass. It's just a great track. Same goes for Keep Me Alive. Again, it just has more of the meaty, heavy load style riffs here. It's a little slower, but again, it's a heavy track. Again, it's all cool here, so it's a good song. So that at least ends at least the first half of this album, because then we get to the second half, which begins with Follow the Conqueror. Again, it's just like the opening track. I mean, Theme of the Conqueror, Follow the Conqueror. This, I guess, would be how the B-side would open. So again, it would open here, the B-side. But again, this track, it's an instrumental, though longer, because Theme of the Conqueror pretty much clocked in at 2 minutes and 5 seconds, but Fall of the Conqueror clocks in at 3 minutes and 54 seconds. So it's a lot more longer, but it's less Maiden in its structure, but it's still new wave or British heavy metal in its approach. Again, it has plenty of that vibe going on, so it's a good track nonetheless, though. It's a good song. Next up is Holding Back the Tears, which is a fine song, but I don't find it to be as strong as the other tracks here. But it's still enjoyable nonetheless, so it's a good track. Let's definitely move on to the other track, which is Heavy Heart. Again, more of that heavy load influence here. I swear, I guess when writing this album, or at least coming up with the riffs, they must have been playing a lot of heavy load and Iron Maiden when, again, with writing a lot of these, again, to put them in that mind frame. because it just seems to be the ingredients when coming up with a lot of the riffs for this album. But either way, though, it's still a very cool track nonetheless, so it's all great here. Finally, the vision comes in and it ends the album on a fast yet epic note, because it's also the longest song here. It actually clocks in at 7 minutes and 19 seconds. There's a part, though, in the middle of this track where I expected them to play the full Hallowed Be Thy Name track, because the riff sounds exactly like it. So it just gives me a lot of that feel. But either way, it is a good song nonetheless. So it's very cool, and I think it's a pretty interesting way and cool way to end the album. So there you go. There's my review of The Night Goes On from Konquest. So for my rating, it's a 8.65 out of 10. It is a good debut album from these guys, though not the most amazing thing, but I think the reason I'll give it 8.65 is just based on effort, because it's a very cool album. I think with each album, I think they'll definitely progress even further and really just really come into more of their own. Which is always should be expected with a lot of bands who begin with their debut album and who will start to release stuff after their debut album. You expect a little bit of progression. I think Konquest is going to be in that same league of bands who are definitely going to at least progress further with each album. But judging on this debut album, The Night Goes On, I think they definitely put out at least a good, enjoyable album. That is, again, it's very solid. So, if this is an album that you will definitely be interested to check out, I definitely recommend listening to this album. I am going to leave you at least a link to their Bandcamp page where you can at least check this album out and hopefully also buy the album, because I think bands like this deserve support. So with that, I hope all of you enjoyed. This is Every Thrasher Sam out. And I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.